there was sort of a sense that the issue was being brought to a head, at least, that either Saddam Hussein would comply, in which case problem solved, and people have described this as itself as a regime-changing event, or he didn't comply and the inspectors would say so, and that would be a basis for taking matters further. So in that sense, it seemed like either way, there would be a satisfactory result.
Well, the satisfactory result would have been compliance and no war. I don't regard the war as, I never use the adjective satisfactory for that, but it was part of our strategy.
Just to be clear, I wasn't necessarily saying it was, because I think it's fair to say that there was an assumption, which you can see in a lot of the papers, that if it became clear that the pressure on Saddam Hussein was becoming severe, that he was being found non-compliant, then either there might be a coup or something in Baghdad, or other Arab states would try to do something about him and find him a safe way to spend his retirement.
Yes, yes, and it would have been rather good if that had happened.
So that was quite an important part of the British government and indeed the American government's thinking at the time, that it wasn't inevitably the case that evidence of non-compliance would lead to war.
No, I mean, not at all. We wanted compliance, and indeed, even right at the end, when the evidence of non-compliance was overwhelming in any event, it's worth just bearing in mind that Saddam was given an ultimatum. I mean, he was just as the Taliban had been in Afghanistan, and he could have taken it. I mean,
here we get to the problem that I was alluding to before, back when we were talking about the dossier. What, in your view, would have constituted a material breach, or did constitute a material breach?
Well, I'm sorry to be. I mean, what constituted a material breach was that which was set out in OP4 of 1441. I mean, so we had to make an assessment.
Operative paragraph 4.
Sorry.
The operative paragraph.
Decides that false statements or omissions in the declaration submitted by Iraq pursuant to the resolution, and failure by Iraq at any time to comply with and to cooperate fully in the implementation of this resolution shall constitute a further material breach. There's no question but that they were in further material breach. I mean, whatever else they are, that was plain as a fight.
And this is important, because these are words you repeated back during the early months of 2003, indicating that the question of material breach was really about compliance with the various resolutions, and we've discussed with Tim Dowson and William Ehrman the fact that the resolution required disclosure by Saddam, which would then be validated or not. That was the process. However, what Jeremy Greenstock said to us was that with inspectors back on the ground, only an adverse report from the inspectors themselves would convince the Security Council that there was stronger action should be taken. And I think we've heard evidence that really only a smoking gun, is the phrase that keeps on getting used, would be sufficient. So this is why I think the expectations created by the dossier and other intelligence provided by the United States could be important, because given the nature of the arguments that had been made, people would have a not unreasonable expectation that once the inspectors went in, they would find something. It wouldn't just a question that the Iraqis were being unhelpful and disorderly.
Yeah, well, I've not quite understood what was meant by the smoking gun argument.
I mean, it was phrase you used in some of your correspondence.
I don't think did I use it? Okay.
With Colin Powell, I think you did.
Okay. I'll have to go back and find out what I meant.
But I mean,
I don't think I use it publicly very often, but anyway.
probably not.
Let me just answer this. I mean, first of all, the inspectors did find things. If you look particularly at the issue of missiles, and the Iraqis declared that they had Al-Samud 2 and Al-Fatah missiles, but they said that they were all within the 150-kilometre maximum range, which was provided by Security Council resolutions. That then led to their examination by the inspectors. And as Dr. Blix reported, I think at the 14th of February, meeting of the Security Council, the Iraqis were found to have not been telling the truth because this missile capability broke the regulations. And also, as Dr. Blix pointed out at the same time, the capability had been imported in clear breach of other Security Council resolutions. I mean, if I may, let me just answer the question. I think what you're asking is, was compliance impossible for Saddam in the circumstances? Because you are saying that...
That's partly it, but there's more to it than that.
All right. Well, allow me to just answer that. And my short answer to that is no. What OP4 required was cooperation with the inspectorate. It refers to full statements or omissions and cooperation fully in the implementation of this resolution. It did not say, and none of us ever said, unless you produce 10,000 litres of anthrax, unless you produce this biological weapons capability, this amount of mustard gas. No, this is really, if I may, very, very important point. It never said that. It said you have to have a totally frank and complete set of statements and comply fully. And if they had done both of those, and for example, critically, allowed for the interviewing of all their scientists outside Iraq, and if Dr. Blix had then come along and said, in our judgment, Security Council, Iraq is complying with the resolution, that would have been the end of it from the United Kingdom's point of view. What conceivable argument could one have advanced, even one wanted to say we should go to war? I certainly wasn't going to do that.